Samantha had been feeling overwhelmed by the pressures of city life, so she decided to go on a solo camping trip to clear her mind and get some much-needed rest and relaxation. She had always loved being in nature, surrounded by the beauty and tranquility of the great outdoors. As she drove deeper into the woods, she felt a sense of calm and contentment wash over her. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, and the sun was just beginning to set, casting a warm orange glow across the landscape. Samantha spent the first few hours of her trip setting up camp and exploring the nearby trails. She felt more alive than she had in weeks, relishing in the peace and quiet of the wilderness. As night began to fall, she settled into her tent, ready to rest up for the next day's adventures. But as Samantha lay in her tent, she began to hear strange noises outside. At first, she brushed them off as just the sounds of the woods at night. But as the noises grew louder and more persistent, her unease began to grow. She peered out of her tent, but the darkness made it impossible to see anything. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of movement in the shadows. It was just a fleeting moment, but Samantha was sure she saw something moving in the darkness. Her heart pounding, she tried to calm herself down, telling herself that it was just her imagination playing tricks on her. But the feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. As the night wore on, Samantha's fear intensified. She heard strange whispers and footsteps around her tent, and the feeling of being watched grew stronger. She tried to rationalize her fear, telling herself that it was just an animal or a passerby, but deep down, she knew that something was not right. Desperate to escape the feeling of being watched, Samantha decided to leave the woods, but as she tried to find her way back to her car, she quickly realized that she was lost. Panic set in as she stumbled deeper into the woods, feeling like she was being led further and further away from safety. Just when Samantha thought all hope was lost, she stumbled upon an old abandoned cabin deep in the woods. Exhausted and terrified, she decided to take refuge inside. She barricaded the door and windows as best she could, hoping that she would be safe until morning. But her relief was short-lived. As she sat in the dark, listening to the creaking of the cabin and the rustling of the leaves outside, she heard footsteps approaching. Her heart racing, she held her breath as the door began to shake. She was sure that whatever was outside was going to break in and get her. But just when she thought it was all over, she heard the sound of a loudspeaker. A group of park rangers had been searching for her and had finally found her. Samantha collapsed in relief, grateful to be alive. As the sun rose, Samantha left the woods, shaken but grateful to have survived her terrifying ordeal. But the memory of that shadowy figure in the woods would stay with her forever, haunting her dreams and making her wonder what other terrors lurked in the darkness of the wilderness.